Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this loop for my upcoming loop kit that's going to be dropping it in like 2 weeks probably like 2 weeks. Drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Feel free to subscribe, and my Instagram is @gavinhadley_. If you want to DM me, I always want to work with people. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the breakdown. So I started off with the guitar, just like a generic Omnisphere guitar preset. And this is the MIDI. It looks pretty complicated, but I can assure you that it's not. So let me break it down. So this first little piece right here, so these notes, this is just a D minor chord, so D, F, A. And then it goes down to the A sharp, the D, and the F. So this is just an A sharp minor chord, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it just goes down, as you can see right here. And then I go up to a C minor. And then this would be something crazy. I don't know music theory, so I'm not going to get into it, but very simple, just progression, as you can hear. Let me get rid of these notes for now. And then I added in these notes right here after the strummed chords here. Added them in to give like a little bit of bounce, and these are all in triplets, as you can see as well, so it just kind of helps with like the whole Spanish guitar vibe that I'm going for. And let me get these notes back. Okay, so we have these, and then these, I can't really give too good of an explanation for these. No music theory, it's just going down the scale, using a couple notes that I thought sounded good together. It's all ear, so that's that. And now here we go down to an A minor. Alright, this is actually an A sharp major chord. And then here I have a C sharp minor. And then this note to help transition, it's like a passing tone. And then D, E, A. And then I go down the scale here using kind of a similar technique as I did for these first two sections. So this is what the first half sounds like. And then when I was making this, my main focus was trying to get like as much bounce as possible, as you can see, and I feel like using triplets is definitely a good way of doing that. So now for the second part, I drop everything down a little bit lower on the piano roll. As you can hear, as you can see, this is centered like down a little bit farther than this. So this is an A sharp, a D, and a G, which makes a this is a G minor chord with like a bunch of different like it's an inversion. So as you can see, this D or this G would originally be down here, and I just put it up an octave, and then I strummed them. I kept that strumming theme going, and then here is like a little top line. And I'm working in triplets, as I keep saying, so that kind of makes the top line like groovy. That's what I was going for. And then here is, I don't know what this is, and I'm working in their harmonic minor scale, by the way. I'm not quite sure what this is. All I really did was just bring a couple notes down a little bit to give it kind of a darker feel as I'm working down the scale. Yeah, and I kept these two bass notes. I just brought up this note to like give it kind of like an upwards kind of feel. And then as you can see, these notes that I'm clicking, these are all part of this melody right here. So it's these notes. It goes up, and then the rest of this isn't too important. It's just kind of just working back up so I can transition back to the start, because I feel like it's really important to have like a good sense of closure in your melodies. Otherwise, like say these notes were inversed and flip-flopped a little bit, it wouldn't give the listener as good of a sense of closure, and I feel like that's really important in music. So it makes the listener feel like almost satisfied, I guess. So yeah, that's basically this first guitar. And as you can hear, if you're listening through headphones or whatever, it's kind of panned. I'm not sure how good YouTube is with the whole panning thing, but it's panned a little bit, going more out of my right ear than it is my left. And I did that because I actually layered it with another guitar, but the effects I put on this original guitar were a stereo shaper. I feel like this is definitely a great plugin to make your guitars sound more realistic and to give them a whole different feel. Guitar rig, just a guitar rig preset. I actually don't even know if I ended up using it. It doesn't really matter. Retro color, I just added a little bit of distortion and some magnetic to it, and a little pitch bend as well. And then a little alter boy, definitely one of my favorite plugins right now. What I do, I either pitch the entire thing up an octave and blend it in, as you can see how I blended it right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but like the knob by the little alter boy plugin in the mixer, I drag it back so you're getting this feel along with the regular feel of it at the same time. They kind of blend together. So yeah, that's really all I did for effects processing for this first sound. Now for the second sound, it's the exact same melody, just with a different guitar, and this is what it all sounds like. And I also randomized both of the melodies just using Alt-R on my keyboard. Alright, so the effects I put on this are pretty interesting. They're pretty simple, as you can see. I used microshift, which basically just moves like, picture like this original MIDI, and then it like puts another one on top of it almost, except they're on the same like octave frequency, but it just shifts it over slightly and adds like some effects to it. It gives it a really good sample feel. Like I'll play it without quick, and then with it. It's really subtle. I don't know how trained your guys' ear is. I'm assuming most of you wouldn't even notice. I barely even notice, honestly, but it's there and it adds to like the overall effect of it. And then I did that same thing with the little alter boy. I put it up an octave and then I mixed it back to my liking. So yeah. And then I pan this one out of the left ear, so it's coming more out of the left ear than it is the right, as opposed to the other one that's coming out more of the right ear. So it gives it like more of a full feeling, and it's like even, as you can see, when both of them are playing. Actually, I'm not going to play both of them because I don't feel like putting those in the channel rack. But yeah, so those are the guitars. As you can see, I did a lot of other stuff here. Next, we're going to move on to the flute, and just disregard the FL keys thing. That's just me experimenting. I feel like when I use a plugin like FL keys, it gives you just like a dry sense of what everything's going to sound like. And that's always important when you're making a melody. If you can get if you can get it to sound good with a dry preset, then imagine when you switch it to something that's full of life, it's gonna make it sound 1,000 times better. So yeah, here's this flute. It's the Redtron flute. The Redtron flute. It's a free plugin. Just look up Redtron VST. You can download it. I think it has a really cool flute. I just found out about it the other day. Actually, I used to have it, but it didn't work, but now it does. So this is what the flute MIDI looks like. It's just going up and down the scale. As I said in my last video breaking down beats, I like to do a lot of this like going up and down the scale kind of thing. And I wanted to go for like a really bouncy kind of progression here with the flute, and I really wanted to make the flute stand out and kind of complete the melody as a whole. So yeah, I just went up the scale here. Oops. Then I added in these two notes just to give it more bounce, and I don't know, I just thought it sounded good. This is just right back up the scale. As you can see, I'm just going right up the scale. And then I go down here a little bit to kind of like fool the listener. And then it goes right up to the highest point. Just going down the scale the whole time. And I'm utilizing triplets here again, as you can see if I zoom in. Okay, so then we go down the scale, as you can see, and then I have this F here. Instead of continuing to go down, I put this F because in my ear it sounded good, and it sounded like the note that I wanted to have it end off with, to give the melody a better sense of closure and to have it like transition back to the beginning a little bit better. So yeah, that's why I have that. And a lot of times in my melodies, I don't like to have the melody end with the same note as it starts with. That's not always a bad thing. I do it in some of my melodies. I shouldn't have said it like that. I do it sometimes, but for this melody I didn't want to do it. So yeah, that's the flute. And as you can see, I just put a little bit of the microshift plugin on it again, and then I just put some reverb on it because I thought it sounded a little bit dry, but I liked it. But yeah, so that's that. Now I believe the last part of this is just a vocal from Arcade. Really simple, just vocal chop, and I'll show you the effects that I put on it. This is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like dry. Okay, so I put micro shift on it. I put some EQ on it to like cut it out, like the high and low frequencies, so it kind of sounds a little bit like it's underwater, like an underwater kind of effect. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want it to stick out too much. I just wanted it to be there in the back doing its thing. And then I added some reverb to it because I thought it needed a little bit more, like, I thought it needed to sound a little bit more like a pad. So that's basically why I did that. And then as to how I lay out my loops, I have everything that I want playing. I didn't want the vocal and the flute playing at the same time, but other people might want it, like when they're chopping up the samples. So I have a part where it's just the guitar, just the flute, and just the vocal here, so you can chop them up and then arrange them however you'd like. So yeah, then what I did, I exported these all out as a WAV file using this. I armed the channel with this button right here, and then you can't see this because my OBS is all screwed up, but I press this button. There's a thing that says disk recording, and then render to WAV files, and then you press start, and then it'll put everything here into one audio file. And yeah, this is the final audio file that I have. I pitched it down an octave and it got me this. I pitched it down a semitone, not an octave. If I pitched it down an octave, it would sound super low. So yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yes, that's basically how I made this sample for my up-and-coming loop kit. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, feel free to follow me on Instagram and DM me at gavinhadley_. And until the next video, I'll see you guys next time.